Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, June 14th, 2016. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, where we bring you today's top stories translated into English every weeknight. The German Foreign Minister, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, paid a visit to Tirane today. In a joint press conference with the Albanian Foreign Minister, the German Foreign Minister reminded the opposition that they cannot always win by refusing. Before the press conference, Mr. Steinmeier conveyed to the Albanian Foreign Minister to vote on the reform, not for the parties, but for the citizens. I am here for the judicial reform. The European Council's autumn report will review the achievements and shortcomings. If the judicial reform is one of the shortcomings, then the membership process will be slower. The parties should think about their country's future. I have learned that in opposition, you cannot always win by refusing. There are situations when a government should take risks, and in these cases, the opposition should not think only about short-term advantages, but also about long-term advantages for the good of the country. The German Foreign Minister also held a meeting with Prime Minister Edi Rama. He praised the reforms Albania has made so far and declared that Albania is now in a crucial moment for its membership into the European Union. Germany follows developments in Albania. The party should find compromise for the judicial reform. The opposition's support is needed at this point, said Steinmeier, adding, consensus over the judicial reform is also in the opposition's interest. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister said the German Foreign Minister's visit is historic, at a time when Albania will adopt the historic reform, which will pave the way to negotiations. Germany and Steinmeier support Albania's integration. Germany has followed the process with attention. I am happy that the German ministers stressed the importance of the reform today and also invited the opposition to vote on the draft that has been prepared with intensive cooperation with the EU and the US, said the Prime Minister. The German Foreign Minister held his last meeting in Tirana with the Democratic Party chairman. It is learned that the DP chairman expressed his gratitude to Steinmeier and declared that the opposition supports the integration process. Mr. Basha told the German Foreign Minister that the majority is doing everything it can to control the justice system. The Ad Hoc Commission of Justice Reform adopted the draft for the judicial reform today, article by article, but without the opposition. The Socialist and the Socialist Movement for Integration MPs joined their votes to adopt the draft, which will make changes in the current system. The EU and US ambassadors were present at the meeting of the Ad Hoc Commission. The chairman of the commission declared that the majority voted on the draft, but without the votes of the opposition, as the opposition MPs abandoned the meeting and did not participate in the voting. We adopted the constitutional project, article by article and in general, as presented by the experts, with a few changes made during today's discussions. The voting does not exclude negotiations and continued discussion over the issues the parties have not yet reached agreement on, which are about the new institutions that will be established. We agreed on voting for the project, leaving the possibility to make changes to the points of disagreements open, clarified the chairman of the Ad Hoc Commission. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party MPs left the meeting stating that there is only one point which the parties need to reach an agreement on, and invited the Socialist Party to accept Recommendation 88 of the Venice Commission. Also, after the meeting of the DP Parliamentary Group, the Democratic Party chairman emphasized that the current variant of the reform, which does not guarantee reserved seats for the opposition, is not acceptable. Mr. Basha reiterated that the opposition has only one request, the implementation of the Venice Commission's Recommendation 88. This is our only condition, he says. If the other party agrees, we are ready to vote on the reform today, said the DP chairman. The Assembly Speaker, Ilir Meta, gave assurance that the Socialist Movement for Integration's will vote in favor of the reform and asked for consensus from all parties. Mr. Meta asked for a comprehensive reform that complies with the Venice Commission standards. The Socialist Movement for Integration has said from the beginning that the Venice Commission recommendations are the basis of consensus. The SMI is also willing to vote on any reform that is based in consensus. After some intense work, and consensus has been reached between the parties, except on one issue brought by the opposition. We insist on intensifying the dialogue and finding the needed consensus in accordance with the Venice Commission standards, declared Mehta. Regarding the idea of the referendum, the SMI chairman considered it to be a ridiculous idea since only one article divides the parties, and the issue can be solved with compromise. The Assembly Speaker announced that he will no longer speak through media communication regarding the judicial reform. From now on, his opinions will be given as the Assembly Speaker. He added that the chairman of the Socialist Movement for Integration Group will speak for the judicial reform. The Minister of Justice, Magnani, preferred not to make any comment on the arrest of Cavalla's mayor, Elvis Rossi. The mayor of Cavalla was arrested yesterday by the order of the prosecution for violating the decriminalization law. The Minister of Justice declared that he cannot comment on the court's decision, saying that now the case is in the hands of the prosecution and the court. The Minister of Justice also refused to make any comment on the High Council of Justice's lawsuit against the Minister of Interior. Magnani was absent from a meeting to discuss the delays of trials. He explained his reason for being absent at this meeting by saying, "I did not attend the meeting because I was abroad and not notified about the meeting until the last minute." The minister stressed that any delay in the judicial system can automatically bring corruption. Meanwhile, the head of the Supreme Court raised the concern about the small number of judges in comparison with the files that are under review. The National Council of Territory adopted 3 national plans today: the General Plan, the Integrated Plan for the Coast, and the Integrated Economic Plan for the Tirane area, named Tirane. The overall national plan aims to deter chaotic and informal developments in the territory due to the lack of planning and control of the territory by local government. Also, a reevaluation of assets of cultural heritage and natural resources will be carried out. The Integrated Economic Plan for the Tirane area, known as Tirane Plan, aims to create the territorial and infrastructure conditions for developing economic activities as one of the most important centers of the country. We are all familiar with the National Territory Planning Project and of the Ministry of Urban Development. The project has been consulted with the stakeholders and citizens, said the Vice Prime Minister. The Minister of Urban Development declared that the 3 national plans will stop informality. The minister added that the stakeholders and experts have given their recommendations to stabilize development of the territory. The President of the Republic of Albania, Bujar Nishani, gave a medal to Albania's Greek Ambassador Rokanas with the title Special Civil Merit, in recognition of the diplomatic activity and contribution given to further strengthen friendly relations between the 2 peoples, but also for his contribution towards Albania's integration process. Several ambassadors accredited to serve in Albania attended the ceremony held at the presidency. Among them are U.S. Ambassador Donald Liu, the EU Ambassador Romana Vlahutin, the Assembly Speaker Ilir Mehta, and the Minister of Integration. During his speech to the attendees, President Bujar Nishani praised the work of the Greek diplomat in our country during the last 4 years. Ambassador Rokanas was awarded at the end of his mission in Albania. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Mari, and on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.